Welcome back, everyone. This is DragonLoon, and thank you for joining us in this video. Last time we were here, we had started to set up the production chains for producing steel, and I did get that set up, so let's go take a look at what I had gotten done. It is all the way over here on the other side of our base. Albeit temporary base, because we are definitely going to have to redesign this. So the one production part of, or one chain that I started working on for steel production was actually the reinforced, encased industrial beams. I did this as I know that the Mark IV conveyor belts actually use that. I use quite a lot of it, and I'm a big fan of the Mark IV conveyor belts. Although I haven't tried the new Mark V conveyor belts because those recently just came out on early access. So what I did was I set up our production chains over here. I have, of course, the limestone coming up here through the center of our floor now, using a Mark II miner and several Mark II conveyor belts. Now, I did overclock this Mark II miner to 250%, and I believe I overclocked the other one over there to 200%, and I snagged a bit of it off over here to produce concrete on this side. I still have my concrete production set up over there near our hub for the generalized concrete so that we can continue to make foundations. But the encased industrial beam does need concrete, and needs a lot of it. And then over here, I have our two Mark II miners set up over here. Now, unfortunately, they are only on impure nodes, so they're not producing a whole lot. But I did set it up with some Mark II conveyor belts and brought it up here. Now, I initially put this storage unit in place while I was setting everything up just to build up a buffer of iron. But I have that split in, and as I said before, I'm a huge fan of the bus system rather than the balanced system of setting things up. So I just set up a bunch of splitters down here to have each of the resources come in. Now over here, of course, we have our coal coming in from our Mark II miner that is way over there on our pure coal node. And again, I set up just a basic storage container to have a backflow of coal just in case something happens. And then I set up our foundries. Now, right now I only have 4 foundries going, and each foundry is working, providing the ingots for a constructor to produce the steel beams right here. And then I have all of those being combined into one line and going into our assemblers, which I only have 2 of those set up right now because with the limited iron production that I currently have, I can't produce very much steel right now. But I also am splitting a little bit of it off into this container because our next available upgrade for the conveyor belts is the Mark III conveyor belt, and that requires the steel bars. So, speaking of the upgrade to the Mark III conveyors, let's go and get that going. And we will be right back as soon as we have that done. Alright, so I went off and collected all of the resources, but here's something that I did not remember. The upgrade for the Logix Mark III, which gives us the Mark III conveyor belt, as well as the industrial storage container, which can hold up to 48 items rather than the 24 that the current storage container that we have can hold. What I forgot to realize was that this requires the use of motors. Now, I was lucky enough to find some motors laying around when I had gone off and gone looking for hard drives to get some alternate recipes. Unfortunately, I don't have a production chain set up for the motors. Now, the other unfortunate side is that the motors require routers. Excuse me, they require stators, and that's what's unfortunate because I don't have the stator production set up either. I do have the routers set up, so let's go see what we need to create the stators. Now, if we scroll down here, the stators require wire, which we have in abundance, and they require steel pipe. And steel pipe requires steel ingots. And we're not producing enough steel ingots yet. So, what we need to do is we need to create steel ingots to create steel pipes to be able to create stators. But before we do that, let's dump all the current resources that we have available in here so that we don't have to necessarily worry about using those, and we can focus on just creating the motors. So, I am going to go and collect what we need and create these last 20 motors. And once I have those created, we'll be right back. Alright, so we have those 20 motors finally ready, and let's unlock this, and then we can start upgrading.
Milestone reached. Logistics have improved by the means of a container with increased storage capacity and enhanced conveyor belt efficiency.
Alright, so the first thing we want to do is we want to come in here to logistics, and we want to save the Mark III to slot 3. That should be slot 3. No? Why is that not saving? Alright, so I figured out what was going on, and for some reason, the game was not liking some of the key rebinding that I had done, and so I've gotten that taken care of. So let's pick up these steel beams that we have, and let's start upgrading these. Starting, of course, with our production lines over here for steel. Alright folks, so it looks like we've got everything set up and functioning quite well, and it looks like we might actually be producing enough iron to be able to add in more smelters. Oh, and I almost forgot I needed to turn this one back on, because I had turned it off to build up the steel ingots. So, what we need to do is most likely... I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to do this. Because we have enough to be able to add in at least one more foundry. But I'm not sure where or how I want to do that. So, for now, we will just keep upgrading everything so that we have faster belt speeds. And then our goal, once we have the faster belt speeds, will be to set up the production lines that we need. But in order to do that, it looks like we might need to go find some more nodes, especially iron. And that is gonna take a lot. Let's see what else we can do. We can unlock the improved melee combat, get us the Xenobasher, which might be nice. But I just remembered we also have a hard drive here in the MAM. So, when we open it up, we have multiple different recipes. Now, we have a couple of different alternate screw recipes, which could potentially be nice. We also have a alternate wire production. But if we come over here and look at Satisfactory Wikipedia, and if we scroll all the way down here, go to items, and then click on the hard drives, we get a giant list of alternate recipes. I love this list, and I will link a direct link. I will provide a direct link to this list of alternate recipes in the description below, so you can check that out. But if we scroll through here, we have a lot of different recipes available. Now, some of these recipes won't become available until we've unlocked different research tiers, such as the Nobelisk, because we don't have everything that we need to be able to produce that, such as the black powder. The one thing that I do want to try and find, however, is, and I'm trying to remember which one is the most recommended. And I think that was the screws using the iron ingots, but I can't remember. And I am going to have to do some more research into this to figure out which one I want to use first. But while I'm here, and while we're talking about it, if you use one of these hard drives and it comes up with a recipe that you don't necessarily want right away, the best thing to do is to actually save your game just before you go in and open that up. And then you can go in, open it up. Oh, we don't like that recipe. So then you just reload your save file. Then you go back into the MAM. And look at that. You have completely different recipes. Now, here's some really good recipes that we might be interested in, such as this alternate iron ingot, which utilizes copper and iron ore. Now, you might be wondering why we want to use that. Well, the current recipe, if we come back over to our alternate recipe list, the current production, as you can see right here, with just one iron ore, the rate per minute is only 30 ingots per minute. However, with the alternate iron ingot alloy, you get a production rate of 45 units per minute, which, yeah, it's only 15 per minute, but hey, that's an extra constructor's worth of iron rods, which can be used to produce other items. And so that is a very good recipe. The other recipe that we have available is the modular frame. And if we look at our list of alternate recipes, the current production requires reinforced iron plates and iron rods, and it only produces 4 per minute. However, if we use steel beams and the reinforced iron plates, you get 6 per minute. The other thing that we could do is we could try and look for the alternate recipes for the reinforced iron plates. Or we could do the encased industrial beams, which I'm thinking we might do the encased industrial beams, which would require going back and forth, simply because not only do you get an increased output of 6 per minute, but rather than using the steel beams, it uses steel pipes. Now, the reason that that is a good alternate recipe is because the steel beams require 2 steel ingots to produce 1, whereas the steel pipes is a 1-to-1 production. For every 1 steel ingot, you get 1 steel beam. Steel pipe. So that's a really good turnover, and it reduces the amount of materials needed to produce the steel pipes. However, looking at this, you do need a little bit more. But the trade-off is that you get more per minute. So, what I'll do is I'll go through all of the recipes and see which ones pop up and which ones would be preferable, and then we'll come right back. Alright, so I did take a look at a few more recipes, and I ultimately decided on a recipe that would improve the output of the steel ingots. And if we run over here to our smelters, I will show you which one I'm talking about. Now, you guys might notice that the power is off, because while I was thinking about which recipe I wanted to use and everything along that lines, I decided to actually completely revamp our production facilities. So that's one thing that I'm going to be doing here shortly is tearing all of this out, and I'm going to be creating a major bus system where we're producing iron rods, iron plates, reinforced iron plates, all of that on a larger bus scale, and trying to utilize more of our resources. I'm probably going to go out into the surrounding area and start bringing in some more resources, such as some more of the iron nodes, and trying to bring in coal from other areas just to start improving and increasing our production. However, as I was saying, if we go in here to our foundries and look at our recipes, we have this alternate steel ingot recipe, which requires iron ingots and iron coal. Iron ingots and coal rather than iron and coal. Now, the reason I settled on the alternate steel ingot recipe is because of the iron ingots. It uses only 3 iron ingots to every 6 coal versus the original, which is a 3 to 3. But where the original one you only get 2 steel for every 3 coal and 3 iron, or the alternate recipe, for every 6 coal and 3 iron ingots, you get 6 steel ingots. So that's a 1 coal to half an iron ingot per steel ingot. And it's a much better ratio than the original. So this will give us more steel ingots to essentially play around with. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do some more fast mo or fast forwarding, whatever you'd like to call it, and we are going to be ripping up all of this production facility and starting to put into place the framework to create a much larger base. And I hope you enjoy. So, I've gotten everything cleared out except for the main storage here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this video here and come back once I've gotten a bunch of this built, as this is going to take a while. So, we'll see you when I come back.